I got the number.
Well, he knows.
They gave me the number.
Okay.
So, you want that? Yeah. Rock and roll. Time for our monthly board meeting, 10:05 a.m. on July the 9th. Roll call, please.
Ron Ellis,
Present.
Frank Gentry,
Present.
Jim Marlowe.
If everyone would please stand for just a second.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our most gracious and heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to be here today and this beautiful day that you've given us. Lord, we just ask for a blessing for this meeting and just watch over our county. And Lord, we ask that our men and women who are protecting us both abroad and here on our soil, that you would protect them and watch out for them. And if they are abroad, bring them home safely. Lord, we just ask for your guidance in this meeting, and we thank you for being our Savior. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I talked with Kevin Monday regarding with recycling, asking if there was anything going on, and he told me that at this time everything's running smoothly, and we're still having issues with people leaving stuff over here on our lot, and the trailer that we had there is totally filled up. So I talked to him about what we're going to do with that. He wasn't real sure at this moment, but he was going to talk to Republic and see if we could get them to get that too. There are people that have thrown some cans and stuff in there, but there's a lot of stuff in there. That puppy's filled up.
I'm gonna be slowed down because it's so high up. I know my mother warned about 15, 30 minutes. There wasn't hardly anybody, nobody.
He sent me a message yesterday, a text of his back of the truck, and it was full.
Yes,
But he couldn't hold it.
that's when I went by.
Yeah.
Okay.
They there, and when I was there, we had a lady come by that was discussing Johnston City. She wanted to know, well, what other location that you could go to, and she'd been taking stuff over to the library. And he said, oh, no, don't do that. You'll get in trouble over there, because that's part of the city, that's not.
All right.
So, he said overall, everything's going very, very well, and asked him if he had anything that he thinks we need to look at doing differently or whatever. He said no. So that's a quick update on that. Mr. Gray?
Yeah, I got three things on the agenda here. The first one, resolution for Paulton Road. It's a resolution to authorize county highway general funds on County Highway 15 Paulton Road. What this is it's an extension of what we talked about last week. We're getting a grant to resurface a 2-mile stretch of Paulton Road. And it's from Toledo Road to just north of Grant Brick Road. It's gonna be the final portion once the mine is done rebuilding their part to make that whole road resurface from Route 13 up to Corinth Road. But we don't have any money in the construction. It's either federal money or TARP funds. But IDOT requires in their federal aid agreement that we do a resolution to cover, we get paid for our engineering costs at an 80% clip. And they require a resolution to show that we're covering the 20% portion for our employee to be out there, which we pay them anyway.
Right.
It's just a semantic thing that they want, but we have to go through the step anyway. So that's what this is. This is a resolution for $3,000 that'll cover, more than cover our 20% portion portion for the engineering on this job.
Greg, the mines, I still get calls from people running up down those roads, you know, about the other day.
Yeah,
And there's a good chance that there's gonna be wear and tear on the road. And so, I guess I'll explain you this, I don't know, it's how do we go about that if there is wear and tear and damage to the road when how do we know if it's from them or not from them? And if we do detect it is from the heavy weights and stuff running down the road, what's our way of recourse of going about and making them pay for it? It should be the taxpayers paying for it.
well, if they're legal, which they're supposed to be, and all, because I've had a few people call me, and I always call, I know the individual that's over the ISB portable scaling. Brandon Rogowski?
Yeah, brain.
Yeah. And had them do some details out there and just spot check the trucks, if they're speeding, that kind of thing. But if they're legal, and there's a lot of trucks, they're hauling down to the SIPC every day to the power
I had
plant.
a few calls on that as well.
And the state has faced the same problems. Illinois 166, if you drive that Indy at all, they've had to do some work on it just because the trucks have pushed and rutted. And over time, it will happen on our roads, Pittsburgh Road, part of Corinth Road, it's gonna happen.
That's the calls I've been getting on Pittsburgh, because you have a beautiful road,
Mhm.
and they're gonna run it down through there, and he says, you know, and it seems like if years ago that you did this setup with the state, and they nails the people right out of the gate, and word usually gets out. Whenever they pop somebody, word will trickle out, whether it's CB radio or whatever, it'll trickle out, but I'm telling you, if they tear up our roads, there is no way the taxpayers of this county have to fix it, and
Absolutely.
I don't know.
And our recourse, I mean, just so you know, we just resurfaced Corinth Road
Yeah.
last year. We just resurfaced, about a 2-mile stretch of Pittsburgh last year. We did the other part of Pittsburgh to Route 13 about 5 or 6 years ago. Those roads are in pretty good shape right now. Now, over time, as they deteriorate, my only recourse is to go to IDOT and try to get federal funds to come in and resurface them. And when we do that, it's 80-20 split. 80% federal, 20% us. And us meaning the county's funds of some kind. You know, I don't know what I've never talked to them about it. You know, if the roads deteriorate and it's just in the part that they're running, and how receptive they would be to doing that.
Talking about the mines.
Yeah, coal mines.
I think that they would probably balk on that idea because they're not responsible for how fast the people are running. You know, the people are hauling the coal, drive responsibly, you know, obey all the speed limits, and that's what you're supposed to do. They can't control them once they leave the mines.
And they've got a third-party vendor that's hauling. It's Eagle Valley does most of their stuff.
To me, would be the area that you look
And those trucking companies, they run on a tight margin.
at. Yeah.
It just so happens that same company's hauling rock into my yard for our CA10. They got the contract to do the rock hauling into our yard. And what they do is they run coal down at SIPC. They run down to Buncombe, pick up a load of CA10, run it to my yard, and they work a backhaul
Mhm.
off of their coal running. But there's a lot of trucks. Any given day, there'll be, I'm gonna say 40 trucks. And that's probably on the light side on certain days.
Talked with Benny Vick about that. We sat down in my office with one of the constituents that live off of Pittsburgh Road. And, you know, we made him aware of it. He was supposed to have a deputy out there as well. But we did talk to the state police as well. I'm sure you need to.
Yeah. I've talked to Brandon 2 or 3 times, and he's always real good, receptive, and he's from the area, so he's more than willing to work it when he can. So,
Okay. Fair enough.
So we need a resolution for the Fulton Road project.
I'll make that motion that we approve resolution number 19-07-09-38.
I'll second.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Brett Gentry.
Yeah.
Ron Ellis.
Yeah.
The next thing I've got here is a jurisdictional transfer agreement, and to give you a little background into this, the city of Carterville is working on plans through SIMPO and IDOT to build a road they're calling the West Bypass. And it's gonna go along what is presently Shawnee Trail Drive and then go northerly up and connect up to West Grand by their schools up in that area. And they're in consultation with the refuge to do some swapping of land so that they can do this. And this is one of the steps that's gonna have to be done, is for us to jurisdictional transfer of our part of Shawnee Trail Road to the city of Carterville. Now, I've included in this a resolution to that effect, along with the agreement that we'll have to sign down at the bottom left-hand corner. And then a map, and that's something that IDOT will require, is a map. I've talked to John Crawford about this on several occasions, and I put it off a couple of months because they weren't quite ready, and I talked to him last week, and he told me to go ahead and get things going so that they can finish up their talks with the refuge to get their swaps kind of taken care of.
Well, for someone that drops off kids at school down in Carterville, which I've done for years, I can tell you, there is a major bottleneck, and this would alleviate a lot of problems by they have a different outlet to go out. So then you would be able to go East Grand, West Grand, or south, and it's terrible in the mornings.
I thought they had this the land swap worked out.
No, and I don't know what exactly is gonna come of it. You know, our rights there are prescriptive. And they're trying to get some land that requires the actual land fee. And so, you know, it's kind of an actual purchase of virtual property. And so that's something they'll have to work out. But they are working in that direction. So,
Okay, so you need a motion for this resolution?
Yeah.
I'll make that motion for 19-07-09-45.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Brett Gentry.
Okay,
Ron Ellis.
and then Ron, if you would sign that bottom left-hand corner when it comes through. And that'll complete that, then I'll provide all that to John, and he can take it from there. So, the next thing I had on the agenda, it was something we talked about also at the last board meeting, and Ron had reached out to me and asked me to put this on the agenda just to talk about it again, and that's the subdivision there for the Country Meadow Estates. We continue to get, and I think Ron's got a call about the county taking it over, and that's just the plat, the original plat from when it was done. There is 36 lots in there. Most of the homes have been built. The subdivision is complete. I went out and looked at the roads some time back, the one road is in better shape than the other one. This road, this is Link Road right here. And this road here is in pretty good shape. This L-shaped road is in worse shape because of drainage issues. So people have filled in their ditches, so there's no roadway ditch, some of the water stays up the road. Down near the end of that road, they've got some erosion and silting problems, and that would have to be addressed, at some point. But the main thing is the roads, you'd have to do some bad work, and then oil and chip. The one that's in good shape was once, the one that's in bad shape, probably 2 coats. The other issues that I saw was the ditches being filled in with plastic pipe, and we wouldn't want to maintain that. It's something that's we don't. We got a bunch of it around the county, but we wouldn't want to maintain that. The other issue is the driveways are all plastic pipe, and the concrete pads for the driveways extend almost to the road. And if those pipes ever fill, which some of them already are, you got to cut the concrete and take everything out, and then put back we would put back a metal culvert. And we would just backfill it with rock. And we would want them to understand that. We wouldn't want to maintain that. The other question would be is, since we didn't put those in, do we charge for them like we do other folks? Now, last time we talked, you guys had indicated, didn't want them to cut a check and us do the work because of the precedent it's set for other areas of the county.
Our theory, what you do for one, you do for all.
Well, that's why.
And so if every people are paying their fair share and stuff, they're gonna pay their fair share and stuff.
What's the difference? I mean, if they're gonna pay you, they can pay other people.
Oh, I'm not advocating.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. They're gonna pay for it either way. So.
In my opinion, I would be against it. I'm against, I think it's not a good, there are so many private subdivisions. Greg gets so many calls every year about people wanting their roads fixed. And every year they get told no, because it's a private subdivision. They're not county roads. The county does not maintain them. If we start telling some people yes and some people no, that's going to cause issues. It's going to cause problems. It's going to be a nightmare for Greg. And I don't think that's a road we need to start going down.
I think it's a great area.
And I think some of these people, in talking with Greg, even if the county were to completely take over, we're not just going to take over some and not all. If we're going to take it over, we're going to take it over.
Correct.
And if it's going to be ours and we're going to maintain it, we're going to maintain it the right way, which may require Greg to have to go in and do some work in some of the right-of-way areas, which could involve breaking up some of these nice new driveways that have been put in, which I don't know that some of these residents fully understand that and probably would not like that if they knew that's a possibility. So I think we dealt with the driveway issues with Cypress Drive. I don't want to have to deal with that again. I just think
We've had that issue before elsewhere in the county.
Yeah.
Remember on Dave Road.
I just think it would be more trouble than it's worth
The bird,
at this
the bird
point.
roads.
Yeah, the bird lanes, and I didn't list them all.
But
But there's a number of areas where we got private roads, and there's just problems, and they are. You hate it.
I'm not,
And under our subdivision ordinance, we require developers to get roads to certain standards
Correct.
before the county will take them over.
Correct.
I mean,
Well, It's
so
already
I
established.
mean, yeah, I don't know why we should be going back on that now.
Correct.
One of the things the reason I wanted this to come out was so we could make it in the public record here with the tape thing running. But the other thing that is an issue here is that they've done, the homeowners themselves have done a lot of work on the roads that are existing, right? The main road coming in and then the road you're talking, the L shape. They've done a lot of work to get those to the point they are right now. They're tar chipped. And, but the conversation that I had with a couple of the landowners was that, you know, they felt that they were not given the correct story by the person that originally developed the subdivision.
Well, then they need to go back at that person.
And that's exactly what I said.
But that's where it all starts.
Yep.
But I wanted it to be, you know, all of us saying that. It just wasn't me saying that, because that's really the only recourse that I see that they have, is to go back to the original developer of the subdivision. Now, a different person has come in, and on the back side of that L, where the L is to the south side, in the last 2 years, almost every lot has been developed, apparently. And I think there's only 1 or 2 lots that are still empty in the entire subdivision. And a different person has come in and built the homes for the last part of that L. Probably about 15, 18 homes, something like that, over a 2-year period, just as fast as they get one built and build another one. And I told them, I said, that person isn't, in my mind, that person isn't responsible for your overall problem. It would be the original developer of the subdivision. That's who, in my mind, the recourse would be against. And so that was a conversation that we had, and then I called Greg just to make sure that I was on the right track, because I know what our position is. Our position as a group is, if we did that there, then we just opened a can of worms for a lot of other portions of the county. Even though the main road that they have in there is in great shape, it wouldn't take a lot to fix that. But the problem we're gonna run into down the road is, you get a 3, 4, 5 inch rain, which we're prone to have some occasionally. Where's the water go? It is virtually flat. There's no runoff.
And that goes back to the person who developed it. That's not our problem. I mean, that's the way I do it. If he built it that way, that's their fight right there.
Yeah, and this particular subdivision has had a number of things, but annexed, not annexed, and never properly brought into the city, and then unannexed, or, there's been a number of issues with it, and it's, none of which are our doing.
And the real sad thing here is, every home in this subdivision is a very nice place.
It is, they're nice homes.
You're talking in the vicinity of 2,000 square feet or higher. The homes are all relatively new. They're in fantastic shape. I guesstimate, and I'm not an appraiser by any stretch of the imagination, but I would say that the average home out there is somewhere between $140,000 and $190,000. And so it's, and none of them are dilapidated. I mean, everybody takes care of their place. It's just the issue they're having is they wanted to be able to have, quite frankly, they wanted to be able to have snow removed or salt put down or whatever when it's inclement weather. And I told them, I said, I get it. I understand that. But we have a set of rules in place, and we have to fulfill and follow those rules. Those rules are in place. And so I can safely say they weren't overly excited about that particular answer. But so I told them I would bring it to the board one more time. And I knew when I said that what the answer was going to be.
Pretty clear. Okay, well, you did it. That's out there.
Follow through. So.
Yep, over.
Only thing else I wanted to mention is, we've got a bridge coming up on Grassy Road. We've done a resolution or two on it, just west of 148, and it's a single span structure. And for us to do it, we're gonna have to close that road for, I think it's 28 days. But when we do that, there's gonna be some pain involved with that. Now, there's a way around. And we're gonna be working with the contractor, CT Signs.
Toby.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, that'll have impacts to school buses and things like that, and we'll put a ton of media out there, press releases, but, I want you guys to do
Can it be done in the summertime?
Well, we're gonna try to get them to hold off until next summer, because we're virtually to the end. If they started today, I don't know if they can make it. It'd be really close, but, we'll just have to see what they got planned and what they are willing or not willing to do.
Because you're, from that area where that bridge is, you know, you're right next to the hunting clubs in that area, but there's a tremendous amount of people that use that stretch right there. And you're talking, the detour, they'd have to go all the way to Route 13, past under, by the spillway, or go down into Union County to come back this way.
Yeah, you have to go down, Wolf Creek and down to Day, and then
Which
back
one is
up
closed?
Steed, come around if you go to the south.
Which road?
So this is on grassy.
It's on Grassy Road.
And it's
As long as you're talking about school.
it is a dangerous bridge, but it's been dangerous for a long, long time.
Yeah, and the reason we're doing it, it's got IDOT required us to put a load limit on it, and the load limit's ridiculous. It's like 8 tons, which is not very much. Normally, the legal load is 80,000 pounds, which is 40 tons. And so we're trying to get that off the books so that a normal load can go across that and won't inhibit traffic. Now, the bridge is very sound and very solid. We have no issues or concerns with the existing bridge. The bridge office does. And so that's why we're doing this project to try to get that bridge posting off so that we're in good shape going forward.
And it would be nice to be able to have two vehicles crossing at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a squeeze. You
You
want to
feel
cross
it.
a truck, you're not, I don't go across it with a truck, or when the truck's coming at me.
Lynn Branch too, I know you've got some.
I was just there yesterday.
Yeah, they're driving piling on the west abutment today. Both of the piers are done, complete. They're gonna pour the west abutment probably Thursday, Friday. They'll give it a week to cure. They'll be setting beams on 2 spans. We'll have 2 spans done. Then they'll start on the east abutment. If all goes well, I'm gonna say mid-September, we'll have us a bridge.
So it's been pushed back a little.
It's
Originally, they were hoping for August.
it's going fast. There's a chance it can be done in August. So, we'll just have to see how things go. Yeah. So,
Hey, on one side note, of course, compliments don't always come real easy from people in general, but I know with all the flooding and everything, I've called you countless times to people calling in about road issues. I just want to say thanks for the responses that those guys have done. Because I tell you what, you know, I may call in today and in 2 days, people call back and say, thank you for getting us quick, and that's you're doing.
yeah, no, I appreciate that.
I think it seems like everything's running really well out there.
It is, it's going good. We've got some good temporary help helping us. One thing that I'm looking to do here this fall, right now we've got one machine that ditches, and in the spring of the year, when you get heavy rains, man, we get flooded with ditching floods. I am gonna be trying to get something to help us with that effort, so later this fall, I'll be coming to you.
Machinery or something?
Yeah, a new piece of machinery to help us where we can have.
That seems to be lots of problems we're getting.
So,
Okay.
but no, I appreciate it.
Great, thanks.
Jerry, you want to, sorry about skipping you earlier, you want to come up and give us a quick
New
update?
face in the room,
Exactly.
Hi there, as I said, I'm Jerry Ross. I'm the new IT guy here. As for right now, I'm just kind of getting to know the lay of the land, introducing myself to everyone here. Most of my day-to-day work right now is just putting out the daily flyers. And we do have one project right now, which is we're currently planning out an upgrade to Windows 10. So we're still in the very early phases of assessing all the systems here to see if they can handle that.
Is everybody running on Windows 10? You know?
Not yet. No, most of the systems, there are few systems on Windows 10. Most of the systems are on Windows 7.
About the only When you guys had Windows 10 because you had to go upgrade for the newer, didn't you?
Nope.
Somebody had to because of some programming issues.
I don't believe, well, I know I don't have Windows 10, but that's because John Miller always told us not to.
Okay.
Yeah, the next part of that, we'll be looking at software compatibility. See,
That's gonna be a major issue.
it could potentially be, yeah.
Well, in the past, it was an issue because we had the old AS400 and the old Crime Tracker, but now that we have the newer, the PC Gens and things like that, it shouldn't be as much of an issue. I know there's some offices that may still use older programs, but I think for our office, it shouldn't be that bad.
It's mainly the vendors and their programs to make sure that they've been upgraded as well. So,
Yeah.
And that's where the issue comes in, like Pam's Sprawl or a tax system, email. We want to make sure that going to 10 doesn't cause a problem. If you don't need to do that, that's where the issue sometimes comes in. That's what we have an issue with. When we upgrade, but to make sure the vendors stuff, we were recording software, same thing, definitely don't run over 10.
And I think we had checked with Gooden in the past and they're compatible with 10, so.
I wouldn't know the difference between 7, 8, 9, and 10, so that's typically what I have. As long as it turns on, I don't care.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a big difference with that 10 because, to me, it's a lot. People who have it for a while like it, but getting used to it.
Yeah, there is a difference in the user interface. It's a little bit of a learning curve. So they've definitely changed the way it works a bit.
All right, thanks, bud.
Thank you.
Under old business, the Frontier Internet contract,
Discuss that.
Are we gonna discuss?
Yeah,
who's
let's
gonna
go ahead.
keep track of Mr. Ross's time?
oh, yeah,
Let's go ahead and discuss that now.
Mentioned, I believe, but right now, Ms. Barnes took care of that this last day.
Turning in the payroll.
Yes, and she's, and wanted me to find out whether or not he's was there or not, so we're wondering if we could have some direction on which office you would like to be. Basically, the immediate supervisor, of course, we're making sure that they're there. They need to off, and you can know who to call. And
And you know what kind of time he has.
and the other thing is he's under the Aspen contract with the fire employees. So at one stretch, we did keep track of John Miller's time for a while, and then it went back to the office, so the Jessica County clerk started taking care of it again. But, one of us thinks, we need some direction on who we need to report to, where we need to part of that part of the basic stuff.
I think as far as timekeeping, I spoke with Jeff and I spoke with Cody. I think it'd be great being that Jeff has a time clock in his office at Jerry come in and clock in there in the morning. That way we could document the time and everything, we have accurate record keeping as far as when you clock in, clock out. And if that's okay with Jeff,
That would make it Alex or myself, the call person that is gonna be off, if he needs to schedule stuff, then he could be coming in to one of us, stuff for that also.
okay,
well, that way you can monitor vacations and sick time and stuff like that too.
That's what, basically we need to keep track of his time. Yes, so that's,
okay, now would that be as well as calling in for inclement weather to see if, or anything like that? How-
they'll always have.
Like the post office.
But yes. if
Because I know
anything-
that his role was set up to be under the guidance of the board.
It's it's yours, your employee.
So,
Well, then if you do that, if that is how it's supposed to be set up, then what it kind of contradicts what we're doing. It would be.
well, I didn't know if we could get like a hybrid type of thing.
But that's what I want to know.
Yeah, so we
That's
just-
the thing why we're here discussing is how, and that's, it's how you guys want.
I think essentially just, he would not be
He's
Jeff's
not my
employee. He's still the
Right.
board's employee.
Right.
However, Jeff is keeping track of his time and attendance for the board. Because, I mean, let's face it, you guys aren't always here at
Well,
8
but-
AM every
but-
morning,
but-
so you don't know who's here or not here. I think it would be more efficient for Jeff to keep track of time and attendance for you guys. He's still your employee.
I'm not supervising him, I'm
Right.
not knowing what to do.
So
All
if
I do
he's
is, yes,
Want to call in, he should be calling.
At least
Definitely not,
need to know,
not under his.
same thing.
Jeff is taking care of
He's
his
not-
time.
Stephanie's not under you. Stephanie's under Amanda.
Contract, so that would be basically.
Well, and that's up to you guys.
The way it was set up originally with Jonathan was that Jonathan on a.
Well, that's what Jeff is wanting to know, how you guys want to do that. There needs to be a set plan.
Yeah.
He's your employee.
Right.
And that doesn't
There
happen
needs to be
very
a set
often.
plan in place so that
You know,
Jerry knows.
It's only one time has the county
Oh, no, not
literally
me.
been shut down.
It's not up to
You
me.
didn't have the water.
Well, that was true too, but that wasn't being clean weather.
Yeah, I mean,
That was under the direction of the fire chief.
Right.
so I mean,
That was a completely
The
different.
thing that makes sense with Jeff doing it is because he knows what time he accrues. My
Right.
office accrues time differently than the union does, so that's kind of what.
Yeah.
It's under contract with that.
How did we do John Miller? He went to.
It's done, but it's been done both ways.
both ways, we kept John for about a year, and then Jessica started people through Amanda's office for that. So it's been done both ways. And all we're looking for is some direction.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to have him do it. Have him do it.
Well, let me just ask you, Jeff. I mean, this is somewhat not a burden, but it's your office. He's not under your contract, he's under the board.
He's your
What do you want to do? Because it's done both ways, and it's fine with me if you check in with Stephanie. And it's fine with this way. If you don't want it, tell us you don't want it. It's totally up to you. Let's put it that way.
Talk to Mr. Marlowe, I will take that on. Strictly though, as just a record keeper.
Record keeper.
Giving Stephanie his time. She'll be turning in his payroll, correct?
And if
If
he,
you want us to do the payroll, that's fine.
if he can't get here for some reason,
Just
You need
give
to
her the
contact,
day.
The days,
I'd say contact the
That way.
the
it'd
chairman.
be Jill.
It's
Or let the
Somebody-
chairman
somebody
contact
Julie
Stephanie
doesn't
or Jeff. To
We'll
let
just
them know.
give the Julie.
If for some reason you can't get
And
out.
say,
if
this
he's
is,
just only a
If
clock.
it was a heavy
so
storm.
the same sheet he gives, Alex gives to
Whatever.
Lisa on pay, because he has the books, he will just give the hours then to her. That way it's still coming in, and it's gonna be paid through your office, so.
Okay.
If that's. you know,
So for bookkeeping purposes only, so you would do the hours through him, through his office, and if there's anything that you get sick or predicament weather, you contact one of us to work here.
No,
Chairman?
we contact him then. If
No,
he's
that's
sick,
not-
right? Isn't that what we just said?
That's not what we just said.
Okay.
If he's,
It was
if
two
for
different
some
conversations
reason.
So you guys are gonna be here, so. he
Poor
can
Jerry's not gonna know who to
All
call.
he's gotta do is call the chairman. That's all he's gotta do.
Okay.
And the chairman will then, whoever the chairman is, will then either contact Stephanie or Jeff, let him know the document on it, that he's not coming in today. For the record keeper. Is that the way, what we talked about? Or am I?
I thought that if he would need a day off, he would be coming talking to, talking to Alex or myself. You'll have days, these are the days that we'll take off vacation. You'd rather run it through.
Well, the way it was set up originally, when this whole job was created, was under the direction of the chairman. That's what Jonathan would do originally. I mean, I don't care, whatever, if you don't want to do it, if you don't get it all, Jeff, I don't care.
I mean, if you want, then we can just, actually, I can just bring the time cards to, his time card over to Sarah, and she can
Julie.
do it. Julie can, she can figure it.
Whatever the board wants.
It's,
I don't
we're just
know.
trying to, work it out so that it's abides by, obviously, your employee. and
Oh.
what we're gonna do.
We're creating a lot more additional work. So overall, it would be simpler just to have Jeff do it, but whatever,
That's fine,
Whatever.
that's fine.
because he's right there.
What do you think, Rick?
We'll always have an employee that he can get a hold of. Yes.
I think- Probably make a mountain out of molehill. If that's what you want to do, do it.
And that's.
And if it doesn't work, we go a different direction.
Yeah.
How's that?
All right.
We'll discuss it.
All right, well, Julie wants to work it out between them and myself on how we.
Okay. So
Keep track. as of right now, if you prefer him to clock in and out, so we have that record, we can do that in the office, and we'll make a time card for it.
I think that'd be a good idea.
And then I'll get with Amanda, we'll get with Jerry,
Jerry, Julie, because you'll need to let Jerry know what he's reporting to.
so she'll actually then be turning in the pay for it.
Hey, Jerry, we don't know who you are. We passed you up a while ago at the beginning, so we don't know who we're talking about.
I'll get him set up, I'll go through the procedure for him to be able to use the card, and then we'll let him know that he needs to be calling to, use the day off, or he wants to play a vacation, or whatever, he's not gonna be able to make it.
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure that's something.
Okay. Sounds good.
And there it is, final results.
All right. Thanks, guys. So,
Jerry,
under old business, Frontier
you too good.
internet contract. And I know when I talked to Stephanie just a little bit, originally the Frontier buyout that we had was $8,942.47. And there was a little proration, as I understand it, took the amount to $9,133.32. But,
But 9-1,
I'm sorry,
is that
that's an early termination fee.
right?
Now, the bill that we have here has another month of fees on this. So we have to pay the $1,300 in addition to for the month's fees, in addition to the $9,100.
Oh, boy.
That's what they're saying.
Because we had given them notice, they gave us the amount, and they've upped that amount, and now they've added
The
another month.
30-day window, they updated it again.
Mhm. So, I think what we had agreed to, and I can understand the proration just a little bit. It's just under, it's about $190 difference from the 91.33.32 to the 89.42.47. But I don't think we should pay another $1,336. If we're gonna pay anything, I would think it would be, we either pay the amount that they agreed to originally, the 89.42, or this 9,100, but I don't think we should pay the $10,470.
This is,
When was the internet actually turned off?
oh,
When did we send in?
3 or 4 weeks
It
ago?
was like on the 25th, I think, is when I sent the email
Of
to
June.
her. But the way that she's explained it to me is this is the prior month before,
No.
it's not the.
Oh.
No.
Well, but it says
This-
June
this
28th through July
1300
27th.
This 1,300 is for the next month's billing. We're paying, we would be paying for something that's not even there.
See, it actually says to July 27th.
Oh, okay.
And if we've already disconnected, I don't know why we're paying all the way through July 27th.
I,
Let me email her back and see if I can dispute some of this and
Yeah, because-
see what we can do.
I'm gonna go back to our last meeting.
I have nothing.
I abstained on this one
Did you?
because
Include me in that email when you, okay.
Not the latest one, but I have before her name.
I-
That's what I've been doing.
I simply do not like the way Frontier plays the game. I don't think they've been fair and upfront,
Can you
and
send me the email? Forward me
we need
the
to fight
email
some of
that you
this,
had sent
folks.
her?
Oh,
They're just walking on us as a corporation.
Well,
And I
Let Wendy just do her thing.
forward that to her, just let her know that we received this.
But we had an
and have some
agreement for
questions.
89.42.47. And then they,
Now what it's come up to.
now they've changed it twice now.
Notice is what she had told me.
But I don't think we should go all the way through July 27th.
It's not right. Wendy, why don't you just want to table this and you just see what you come up with?
That's fine.
Any other old business?
No, well,
No,
not,
set this.
not,
I'm gonna put that right there, because that's what we had agreed to, was that $8,900.
say the least.
Under new business, the raffle and poker run application for the Ambet Post 31 is something they've done every every year. And when I see you looked this over, so.
I have.
everything's in Good shape. So we
Yes.
just need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion for the raffle poker run license application for the Ambets Post number 31.
Jim Marlowe?
Yeah.
Ron Gentry?
Yes.
Ron Miller?
Okay,
Who
all right,
seconded
next here,
Who
This is-
seconded that one?
Jim did.
Okay.
the intergovernmental agreement to pay the fair share for the new enterprise zone application fee with Great Region. We discussed this just a little bit yesterday. Jeff went with me to the meeting and we turned that in and what'll happen officially, just so you guys know, the existing enterprise zone will cease, come to a complete end as of November 30th of 2020. And we'll have a 1 month gap if everything goes right. But my thought is there's not going to be any construction in the month of December, typically of 2020 anyway. So if everything goes right, we would have the new, if everything goes hopefully correct, we would have the new approval from the state for the new enterprise zone that would start January 1 of 2021 and go for 10 years.
You know where I'm gonna go with this, 'cause we talked about it before, but I'm for enterprise zone, obviously, I'm totally for it all the way, but, you know, like we got stuff coming in and just buildings coming in, they're gonna be doing construction all the way through next year, and they're gonna be in the enterprise zone and not to benefit anything. If they, in my view, they should be able to get on board on the new one, because construction may go on all the way through most next year, so really, I don't know what you guys are doing with that meeting, so
Well-
I don't know what you're thinking is just as a group, so.
Well, it's really up to the state.
Well,
Well, no.
we have an opinion that has a verbal opinion from the state attorney's office that 10 years ago, we set an end date for the current enterprise zone because we were having problems with the school systems. And so we gave a specific end date, which we're the only county in the state that has a specific end date on the way the wording is done for the current enterprise zone. And I'm just giving you this isn't my opinion, I'm just telling you everything what's been discussed in the conversations. And we discussed this at great lengths yesterday. And it was at great lengths. And the general consensus of the group was, and with Kerry also, and with the state's attorney's office, that if we have a specific end date, that it makes it a lot cleaner for the enterprise zone application that we have going forward. And because it's a brand new enterprise zone.
I understand that.
I think you guys are talking about two different things.
Well,
He wants to
no,
keep
what I'm saying is.
He wants them to be in the new enterprise zone.
Well, what I'm saying is,
Is that what you said?
so a person should wait for their business, hold up their whole business to get into this new enterprise zone.
I think that's a business decision
I
that
think,
they need to make.
I think it's wrong that you should just only let them have 6 months of enterprise zone and then kick them out with nothing else. That's just not right.
But that's just it, it's a business decision.
You afraid it's we're the only county in the state?
Right.
Unbelievable.
And like Road Ranger, the big thing that they're looking at was the sales tax.
When do they plan on going?
They're gonna start construction, if everything goes right, April of next year. And they'll be done by October of next year, if everything goes right.
This kind of goes against what the city of Marion told the restaurant in the office that I sat in. So that's where the rub is.
Well, and like and I'll tell the three of you the same I told Ron. My opinion is just that. I mean, you can choose to follow it or not. I don't know what discussions the city of Marion may have had or what any of these businesses have been told by anyone else. In my opinion, I believe when the zone expires, the benefits expire. Now, what that has to do with the new zone, I can't answer that. At
who
this
do we-
point, that's a completely separate issue.
Who gives that opinion?
Well-
Somebody higher up gives that opinion, or is that just?
I'm giving you my opinion. If you want
And who
a
is-
higher up opinion.
What was
then you can-
discussed
you can
yesterday,
seek
Mayor
that.
Absher was in there in the meeting. Glenn Clara was in the meeting, both representing the city of Marion. And,
And he
I
wasn't,
know
he
that-
wasn't there then, Mike
that
wasn't there then.
Carrie has
But Mike was-
requested that
involved.
opinion from DCEO. They do not give that opinion. They basically tell the administrators to talk to your state attorneys. That's my opinion on it. Like I said, that's all it is. It's just my opinion. I mean, you guys are always free to do. There's some counties that do it that way, some counties that don't.
Every region have their own attorney.
I don't know.
On that.
I don't know the
I
answer
don't
to
know,
that
I was on that
question.
board, I don't know.
I don't think so, because I don't think we've ever, that I've ever been there, we've never had anything that had to be run by an attorney there. It was always run by
Whatever
our
else
state
is on
attorney's
there.
office. And, but I can assure you that the general concept was from the people that was at the meeting yesterday, the only entity that wasn't there was Heron. Something happened and the guy that was supposed to be there for Heron couldn't make it. But the thought process was that by having the current enterprise zone come to a close officially as of November 30th of 2020, and then have the new enterprise zone start on January 1 of 2021, and we still have to negotiate with the schools. That was the whole purpose of getting this done, so we can get to by August, we can sit down and start negotiating with the schools on what the percentage will be on how they're going to do it. One of the things that they're looking at is, instead of having 5 years where it's 0 and 5 years at 50%, doing all 10 years, and we're gonna have Jeff Robinson, he was there also. He's going to run some numbers for us. We're gonna just pick $1 million just to show, but run it at 60%, 70%, where instead of zero taxes that you pay and 50% taxes that you would pay for 5 and 5, here's all 10 years at say 60%, and just see what the dollar difference is, because that's one of the big stumbling blocks with the schools is for the first 5 years, they don't get any money off of it.
Right.
And that's a major stumbling
They're
block.
going 10 years?
Well, the first, that's what
We did roll it back to 5, why are they going to 10 now?
because that's what they can make it 10 years.
I just hate seeing other counties whip us, and that's what they're doing. They're offering a lot more than what we're doing, and we're in
Well, there's
competition
some
against them.
counties, not every county is doing it.
Right.
There are some
And
counties that are doing it this way.
you're
So what some
limited-
counties are doing is they are putting wording in that says, if the new zone is approved, then the business gets rolled into the new, they get basically from the old zone rolled into the new zone. And they're putting language in there that says, if the new zone is
Especially if you only
approved,
have 4
then
months.
they can get rolled into the new zone under the new zone's benefits. There's still some risk with that.
I mean,
There's a lot of
5 years for me is plenty, but not to have a business come in the last year of the enterprise zone and receive basically nothing except material. Are you kidding me?
Well, they don't have a building permit. That's worth
That's-
about $4,000. And then they don't have to pay sales tax. But and this isn't me, I'm just giving you an update of what the group, what was discussed
They're
yesterday.
missing hundreds.
I understand what you're saying, Brent, and to
And
some
that's what we
degree,
were told up at the Marion office. That's
yeah.
under
I
the old,
wasn't
under the
there.
old regime.
Yeah, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But I mean, but you still have to look at that. They are still getting a little bit break, better than nothing.
And they could, if they really wanted to, the thought was that they could wait. The businesses that are involved, they don't want to wait. I know I've had many conversations with Road Ranger, and they want to move full steam ahead. If they get 1 year, they're hopeful to get 1 year of real estate tax abatement, and that'd be about $78,000 for them, being that it would be prorated.
But they wouldn't get 1 year. No, that they're not.
Well, they get a partial year.
They're not complete by. Everybody's gonna get sales tax, that's gonna be good.
But,
Permit.
you know,
And a handshake. Thanks for coming.
well, they
But
don't,
again, I think that's a business decision.
It is.
If they're made aware
and that's what the group talked
and
about.
they're proceeding forward, I think that's their business decision to make.
I'm just saying, that's not what was said with, former mayor and his group was up there. That's the
Yeah.
rub.
Well, I don't know what was said with the city of Marion, but
I know what the city of Marion said yesterday.
Within the mayor.
Correct.
I'm just saying, people come here, go on the old and say, then how do you?
But we can't control over who wasn't mayor.
People make decisions on based on what they're told.
I understand. And,
$2 million decision.
but this is what we need, what they're needing us to do, and along with, everybody, all the other, entities here, is to approve this. And then no money is paid. This is so they can, Greater Egypt can go ahead and continue with the paperwork that they need to do. Just to give you an idea, there was 30 pounds, the application that went to Springfield for Jackson County, the paperwork was 30 pounds. Is what they had to submit with all the schedules and supplements and maps and everything. We turned in our wish list yesterday for our map. Everyone else is supposed to have theirs in by the end of the month so that can be generated. What they're looking at, some things that they're looking at, is some of the existing areas that are in the enterprise zone presently in the different cities. They're going to start removing from some of those, like along the border of 13, and they're going to look at residential, putting residential into the enterprise zone. And here's how that works, and this is pretty cool. And Kerry Manus was the one who made this recommendation for the areas that are blighted in the different cities, in Johnston City, Heron, Carterville, not as many in Carterville, according to Brad Robinson, but in Marion. And this could be used in some of the areas that we have put into the enterprise area for the county also. But if you have a residential home, that what happens is, let's say that you have, we'll use Midway Court, I'm just picking a street, and you have some homes on Midway Court that you want to tear down. You tear the home down, have an appraisal done just on the value of the land, then you build the building. They don't have to pay the permits to build a new single-family dwelling. They get a sales tax abatement for all the materials that went into the home. And then when they, so it's a tremendous savings that you can have to help an area that's wider, where you can come in and reduce some of the cost of building a home. Well, that was the word. I understand.
Some people would go around 13.
It really is a benefit, and some of the cities were going to take a look at putting some areas, because we're limited to 15 square miles in the county as a whole, for a whole package. And the present enterprise zone that we have is 12.4 miles. So we're looking at doing some of them, or they are looking at doing some of those things also. So we'll have a much better direction on what the map's going to look like at the end of this month. But the target date was July 31st for all the municipalities to have their paperwork back to Kerry so they can continue on with this, because it'll take them till the end of the year. And we have to have this submitted by the middle of December so we can be in the running for the early next year. And what happens is the state of Illinois, as the current enterprise zones expire, it's those enterprise zones that are being reissued. And there's a lot of competition in the state for the limited number of enterprise zones that are going to be available. So he wants to get it in. If we can get it in before December 15th, that would be better for us, because he expects a lot of competition for our enterprise zone that's expiring.
Have you read all this? This is the first time, I mean, I got this late yesterday, I've not read all of it. Have you read all this stuff that's there?
This is just the application fee.
Well, I know, but, I mean, have you gone through it all?
Is there something in there that you have a concern about, or
Yeah, that's what's proposed.
And I don't know if I want. I
you don't want a new enterprise zone?
No, I'm 1,000 for enterprise. No, I don't think that, I'm still hung up on the person should not be able to.
That's not what this is.
Okay,
This,
we'll get to that
yeah,
point, then that's. gonna
yeah,
be
this,
different. That's a
you
different-
guys kind of went off on a complete tangent from what this actually is.
Yeah.
This is,
All this is there is a fee that has to
Has
be
to be
paid
submitted, that's
when
right.
you guys, when, not just you, but when,
Great.
Greater Egypt submits the application for the new enterprise zone,
Okay.
there's a fee that is required to be paid with that.
That's the breakdown.
And the way they break it down is every municipality involved in the enterprise zone pays their fair share of the fee, depending on
By
how
the
much
population,
property
the
you
property,
have in
right.
the enterprise zone.
Right.
So this, all this agreement says is that you guys are willing to pay your share of the application fee for the new zone that Carrie's gonna
But I
submit.
kind of, I was hearing all this, we're here, I'll make sure this is all this is.
And this is just an estimated amount
Okay.
here because we don't actually know yet since the math isn't completely finalized.
Yeah, for the
But
fee, I have no
this, yeah,
problem with it.
that's all this is.
The worst the fee will be is $30,000. It could be lower, and if it's
Total,
lower,
total, this split between county and
Of
municipality.
everybody,
Yes.
on the back page, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's, I'm gonna make sure that's what this is, because
Yes.
I, not,
Yeah,
not
that's
the
all
whole,
this is. All
not the
this
whole
is
thing we've been
that,
talking about here.
all
So,
this says is that you guys are agreeing to pay your share of the application fee that must be paid.
Of that 30,000,
Yeah.
about 45% is the county's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
and
Let's roll.
this also, we're given, by agreeing to this, then you're giving permission for me to sign this on behalf of the county.
yes.
So does this require a vote then?
Yes.
I mean, I just wanna make sure this is only the fee part, not the other,
Yes,
that I've
yeah,
got a problem.
that's all this is.
Okay,
The worst it will be is 13,596.56. But Gary thinks that it will be lower than that.
fair enough.
I'm quite sure how to word this motion, but we'll make a motion to approve the county paying for their portion.
We offer this fair share,
Yeah, we-
right off of that,
Read that,
Read off.
read off the.
right off your agenda.
Because they want-
That's about the only way, that's the cleanest way, I guess.
Make a motion for the intergovernmental agreement to pay fair share of the new enterprise zone application fee.
I'll second that.
Chip Marlowe?
Yeah.
Brent Gentry?
Yeah.
Ron Ellis?
Yeah. All right. The next thing there, I wanted us to discuss, one of the things we talked about previously with the new guy, with Jerry Ross being in the IT department, we really need an IT department, full department, where we have somebody that is the head of that department. And there's a couple of ways to accomplish this. One of the things that we need to do that is about $100,000 to set up an IT department. And going forward down the road, we start doing the budget here in a couple of months. One of the things that we can do, there's two things that we can do to help cover that cost, but we don't have to spend a penny of existing money. One is to pay off that IMRF, the SLEP Enhancement Reserve Fund loan, where we have, we're paying basically $77,000 in interest on this. And we have the reserves to do that if we wanted to. And that's $77,000. We could use that toward this, the IT department. And, it's something that we would
So
do.
on the IT, I know we're talking about IT to death and, in meetings. So we've gone back and forth on the IT department. It was like just having kind of a, person like we got now with Jared. And then we're gonna keep it online with
CES.
CS.
That'll be up for discussion.
Yeah, this is all budget talk, but to address this, I had made a comment before that actually June 11th, that if there is something there to free up some of this, I'd be happy to entertain that when it comes budget time, with no problem. But it's definitely budget time discussion, but IT stuff we can talk about it, but I hear what you're saying, and I'm still the same position I was last time. I would entertain it, but not right now, so we can budget, see where we're at, so that's that.
But, it's something,
Run her off?
paying off the IMRF, is really important, I think, because we're paying 7.5% interest on that money. And when we talked during the budget process, and Jim, you were right, we had talked about it had been discussed about putting $2 million into the IMRF pension reserve, the pension fund that we have, because what we should be doing is paying that monthly. And if we pay that out of that account monthly, because we do send the money monthly to IMRF. Jessica now, the new girl, I can't think of her name.
Have your faces.
I knew it began with a J, but she would, we literally make that payment monthly. But the reserve fund that we pay that out of, we don't send the money to that monthly. And if we're making the payment monthly, which we do, it makes sense to me that we should pay that monthly instead of having to wait till it gets behind. And that way we wouldn't need, putting $2 million in there puts a huge reserve in there for a little over we're over $1.5 billion in reserve right now on that fund. And then we never did discuss putting money into the FICA tax fund, and putting $1 million into that literally covers that for 2 years. We don't have to pay anything now into that fund for 2 years, because that just covers our portion of Social Security and Medicare that's sent to the IRS.
I totally hear what you're saying. I've heard, before, and I am still of the opinion that I don't know where all these millions are gonna come from, so I'm willing to talk about it at budget time, like we always do. That's just my position on it. Not
I
that
agree.
that means anything, but that's
Okay.
just my position.
This is what we need to talk about during the budget.
See where we are with revenues that are coming in, and we'll talk about it. Again, I am more than willing, if there's somebody there, I'm more than willing to help you on that. So I've said that before.
No, okay. The other thing is the accounting services. We need to bid that. And if we did bid that, I guarantee you we'd save more than $40,000 for all the different services that are in place there. And with that, coupled with the money that we would save off the IRMF interest, it's a mouthful. That's
44 letters too, that's what's
Yeah.
confusing.
That would be well over $100,000, and that literally would give us the money that we would need to set up this IT department. And if we truly did have an IT department, then we wouldn't need CDS in the capacity that we have there. That would save us some money
Well,
also there.
again, we're talking about IT, and I'm a little bit lost here because I did not think that that's the direction we were heading, IT, and we're talking about budget stuff, and I thought we were on the same page. We weren't hiring a highfalutin IT person. We were gonna have a person like we hired Jerry and keep CDS until we decide differently, and this is all, we're sitting in July, and we're talking about this stuff. It's all focused on this IT, and I'm a little bit lost compared to our past conversation we had in meetings. This is not what we talked about, so, I mean, if you want to make a motion,
Okay,
whatever.
So on the agenda is the motion to bid out accounting services.
And I'd like to do that.
Make a motion.
So I'll make a motion to bid the accounting services. I assume that's
Do I
enough.
have a second?
Okay, so that will die.
The guy that called today, why,
The White Ash Sewer Connect fee for Robert Wolver, I don't have it.
that's the guy that,
What happened, Kyle contacted me on this guy. I'll just read you this email, it's short. Robert Wilbur was in the office this morning. This is Kyle Violet from the Village of Pittsburgh talking here. And he was wanting to reestablish services at 1008 Bingley Road. Just to refresh your memory, he was the individual who had 2 trailers connected to one water meter. We are going to make him pay for a water meter extension or a new service line, depending on what our engineers tell us. For the second trailer, he will be moving back into. I don't believe he ever paid for a second sewer tap, but rather just had a plumber connected to the sewer main. I know you'll probably make him pay the $250 sewer connect fee, but he'll have to dig up the sewer connection so you can inspect and make sure it's done correctly. That's the question. I am working on getting him a price to reconnect water and sewer. And I sent this to Wendy, we discussed this a little bit. Basically, if they're gonna give him another water tap, he needs another sewer tap. And if they've already hooked up, then they'll have to uncover, and that's all on him to uncover. And then, normally the chairman would contact whoever to go and inspect.
We just had this situation,
Yeah, not too long ago.
and a different person.
Yeah.
And he built, for lack of a better word, a man cave. Second,
Right.
he had a hole barn
Not bad.
that he built a second place on his existing property. And Ron was his first name, I can't think of his last name right now to save my life.
It was just recently. last
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
I know
You called it man cave. That's how I remember.
And, what he did was exactly what has been discussed here. He set up and he had to run a separate line to the building, and he left it all open. He had somebody else do the work. Baker went out there and did the inspection. He paid for the inspection. And, once the work was done, they covered it all up, and he has water and sewer. And they have, it has to be done properly. He's gonna have to, if he's already got it covered up, he's gonna have to be the one that uncovers it, or somebody's gonna have to pay somebody.
He's gonna have to pay somebody to go.
And so they go out, and it has to be inspected properly. Otherwise.
Otherwise, they should have,
EPA.
technically, Kyle, they should cut the water until it's
Exactly.
inspected.
And until, there's this little organization called Illinois EPA.
It's a little organization.
I know, they get very testy
Yes, they
about
do.
groundwater not being proper, especially subgroundwater. And so, I can't imagine why somebody would do something like that. But this is just another example, of why we need to get out of white ash business.
Absolutely.
We should have been in it, but hopefully today, we may have a good day.
We have direction. Police direction.
Yeah, maybe today. So is this a,
So what,
is this a, I don't see anything here, is this
I-
just a nod of a head or?
I guess, I don't know really, Wendy,
Basically,
other
if you
than-
guys are in agreement that
Yeah.
he needs to follow the procedures as a
Call.
new person and doing a new hookup with
maybe
fee and
you
everything
call
else,
Kyle to make sure.
so that Kyle
We'll
can make
talk
sure
to
to
him.
tell
He's
him
gonna-
that.
Yeah. Okay,
we'll talk to Kyle today on that, and then we'll discuss the, white ash thing about 115 today with him.
all right, so,
Because I think there's been a little
so the next line, I'm gonna kick over to the.
So are you guys gonna bring that up this afternoon, or are you?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think it was reported on Channel 3, I think they misreported that it would be resolved. And so it's not, it's gonna be an FYI, is all it is.
I wish
Maybe
we-
hopefully.
Hopefully it'll lead to the
Lead
resolve.
to a direction, but it will not be resolved at the court.
Not today.
Because the city council for Pittsburgh still has to vote on it, and we still have to have permission from
And we
the,
have to bring Johnson City in, and that's another thing, I got a call from Scott Key.
bond. The United
Because he
States
saw the
government.
report on Channel 3, and
Now here,
I invited him to come.
USDA got here.
So he would come.
USDA has to approve it also.
One Street.
Randy, or whatever his name is.
No, he's not there anymore.
He's
Is
not.
he gone, retired?
Yeah, there's some lady.
You better all done.
Took his spot.
So the next one is going this afternoon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Discussion,
Discuss the white ash transfer this
All right.
afternoon. Basically, what I'm looking for is get an update from where the city of Pittsburgh is with this, because I haven't talked to Kyle about this in about, I'm sorry, 5 or 6 weeks.
He's got a lot of misconceptions about certain, and he's got certain questions that for some reason he's having difficulty understanding. So that's why the whole
Okay.
meeting,
It makes
premise of
very,
the whole meeting.
it makes
Let's get
very-
all the questions out, we can answer them, we can get a better understanding.
it makes very good sense, if it makes sense to them, that they're gonna provide the water, they should pick up sewer too, if it's financially makes sense to them.
Absolutely.
Well, last time I talked with him, and like I said, it was 5 or 6 weeks ago, he was gung ho all for it. And they were gonna be discussing it that week with the.
Well, it was after our last meeting when we discussed it, that's when I called Kyle, and that's when he said he had all these questions, and he didn't understand. And some of his questions were kind of, I don't say they're off the wall, but there were questions that he had a hard time understanding. So I thought, let's just everybody get together.
That's why you're coming today, Wendy. Thank you.
Yeah, let's just wait and discuss it this afternoon.
Yeah. We'll move right along to minutes.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the May 14th, 2019 minutes.
So,
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Reg Gentry.
Yay.
Ron Ellis.
Make a motion that we accept the May 21st, 2019 minutes.
second.
Jim Marlowe.
Yay.
Reg Gentry.
Yay.
Ron Ellis.
Yay. Make a motion that we accept the June 5th, 2019 minutes.
Second.
Jim Marlowe.
Yay.
Reg Gentry.
Yay.
Ron Ellis.
Yay. Make a motion that we accept the June 11th, 2019 minutes.
Second.
Jim Marlowe.
Yay.
Reg Gentry.
Yay.
Ron Ellis.
Yay. Make a motion that we accept the June 13th, 2019 minutes.
And I will second that.
Jim Marlowe.
Yay.
Reg Gentry.
Yay.
Ron Ellis.
You want to read the reports, please?
Accept reports of Wayne County General Fund for May. Wayne County Clerk Real Estate Trust Account Semi-Annual Report 2018 and 19. Accept Wayne County Clerk Fees County Semi-Annual Report 2018 and 19. Wayne County Clerk Vital Records Semi-Annual Report. Wayne County Clerk Mobile Home Trust Account Semi-Annual Report 2018-19. Wayne County Fees Account May 2019. Wayne County Clerk Vital Records May 2019. Wayne County Clerk Real Estate Trust May 2019. Wayne County Mobile Home Trust May 2019. Accept those filings.
Okay. And the next thing is the Williamson County Board Resolution on Americans with Disabilities Act. This is something that we do yearly. And
Well, you already had it on file. I just cleaned it up. It had Jessica's name in it. So I
oh,
took her name out and just
So,
left
but
it.
no action can be done, just,
Well, you've got to adopt a new one. I took Jessica's name out.
Okay.
Jessica's
Yeah,
name is
basically, you're
there.
passing a new one that does not have Jessica's name in it.
Right, I
Okay.
just left
Okay.
it where it just says the ADA coordinator.
all right.
so it'll be interchangeable.
Julie is the ADA coordinator.
Julie's taking over
She's
that,
taking
those
over that,
duties.
but we're not putting her name in there. Her contact information is in there.
So I will make a motion to accept the cleaned up version of the Williamson County Board Resolution on Americans with Disabilities Act. Resolution 19070939.
I'll say.
Jim Marlowe.
Yay.
Reg Gentry. Ron Ellis.
Then, we have, Jimmy will do the new sales.
Make a motion, that we approve the sale to new owner, Southern Properties, PIN number 05-11-183-013. I'll make a motion. I'll say.
Jim Marlowe.
Yay.
Reg Gentry.
Yay.
Ron Ellis.
Yay.
Make a motion that we approve, the sale to new owner, Southern Properties, 05-11-183-029.
I'll second that.
Jim Marlowe.
Yay.
Reg Gentry. Ron Ellis.
Yeah.
Make a motion that we approve the sale to new owner Eunice McRoy, 11-26-281-010.
I will second that.
Jim Marlowe.
Yay.
Reg Gentry.
Yay.
Ron Ellis.
Yeah. All right, next, we have an 11th amendment to the ordinance known and designated as the liquor and control ordinance for Williamson County, State of Illinois, dated May 13th, 2014. We have a new business that wants a Class A license, and we always wait till we don't keep any of those just open. We always wait until we have a business that wants to come in and have a liquor license, and that way we can make sure that everything is kosher. We have a new business, it's called Steel Force Saloon and Smokehouse. It's located in Carterville, and they are wanting to do a full restaurant with a Class A liquor license, so that's why we have this on here to increase the Class A liquor license by one, so we can fulfill their obligation. They've gone through and done all the paperwork, and Wendy, you think this over too. I didn't see anything that raised any bells and whistles. They passed the background check, and everything was right, and they paid all the fees, right, Steph?
They'll bring that in when they get their license.
Okay.
You know, this is a really nice place. I don't understand why it really hasn't taken off. I think there've been two owners It's out north of Carterville, and, it's got a big lake, it's got a venue for like weddings and stuff like that.
Didn't used to have a shooting gallery there or something like that?
No, that was Pete Moyes, that was off to the,
That was, on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
And, it's totally separate.
but this is really a nice place.
I'm just having, yeah.
I just don't understand why it didn't take off, and it just could be like advertising, or it could be a little bit off peak, but, hey, I wasn't very well. So I'll make a motion to, accept the 11th Amendment to the ordinance known as designated liquor license control ordinance in Clinton County, dated May 13, 2014, and bring in Steel Horse Saloon and Smokehouse owner Randall Moore.
I'll second.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Bert Gentry.
Yeah.
Ron Ellis.
Yeah. And then, we have, Blairsville water appointment. We have Clayton Westerman. His term expired, and, he is no longer wishing to be trustee of the Blairsville Water District, and, to be replaced by
Yeah,
William
you're fine.
Romeo. Term would start, his term would start immediately and go through May 1st of 2023. We have a letter from the district manager for the Water District, Candace Coulter, asking for us to accept the appointment of William Romeo to the board.
Any discussion? I mean, back.
Well, that's Bill's son. I don't know much about him. If that's who they want, that's who they want. So, it's okay.
No discussion, then I'll make a motion. That we appoint, William Romeo, to the, position, today's date, set to expire on May 1st, 2023.
I read the back page and it says, we have no other applicants for this seat. So that explains why. So I'll second.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Bert Gentry.
Yeah.
Ron Ellis.
Okay. And, then we have travel reimbursement for Jeff Robinson.
Hi, Jeff. Just in time. We'll deny this one.
All you can do is ask.
Meals were $16.83.
It was a travel to the area 5 meeting.
You're a big eater, son.
Look at me. I'm not a small eater. You don't
Actually,
get to
looks
say
like
we're eating small, come on.
Looks like a pretty normal amount to me.
All right, so you need a motion to accept Jeff Robinson for a total of $16.83. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Bert Gentry.
Okay.
Ron Ellis.
Okay,
That goes with it.
Huh?
That goes with the travel.
Oh, okay.
that's
Oh, okay.
another part of it. Just wanted to, before we adjourn here, see if you guys have anything. Before we do that, I wanted to just touch base and Rick for just a moment from yesterday. When you were talking on the radio, you had made the comment that I have a personal agenda or a grudge against Kim Meyer. And I'm just curious what that grudge would be. What personal grudge what do I have against her?
Well, I'm not going to talk about it in the meeting, this politics, and I'm not going to talk about politics in the meeting. It's just odd that you support her all the way through until the last couple of years. Then you kind of 360 and you want to just keep beating this to death. And it's an obsession. I'm not going to talk about politics. Nobody's for here. So if you want to talk about it, you can talk about it. I'm not going to.
I want to put it out there officially, and I want it on the record.
Okay.
Because I do not have a personal grudge. You're right. You're dead on target. That for 8 years, I did vote to have her as the auditor. And, but it wasn't a personal grudge that changed. What happened, we've talked about this before, was the theft in the circuit clerk's office.
What's that?
Well, what the, we were 2 years behind in our audit that we were having done at that time, which is supposed to be done annually. Every year, our audit is late, and because of that, we get put at risk with the state of Illinois. We have to have extensions done, and once again, this year, we're in danger of being kicked out of the grant program.
No.
Yeah, because we had to have an extension,
That's what they-
with an extension. We still don't have it on.
That's what an extension's for. When you do a tax return, somebody files for an extension, isn't that a legal process?
But we're not,
Just so that you can get more time?
it's not supposed to be done over and over and over every year.
Well, there's no issue on that.
There is
I'll
an
tell you
issue.
what, how about this? How about we discuss it with Ken later on this afternoon?
We can discuss it.
I think that's the first you need to address, because I think that whatever the problem is, when she's in the room, you don't have a lot to say about it, but I find it ironic. And this is nothing wrong, of course, this is nothing I haven't said June 11th or any other time. I'll say it tomorrow and say it next day. When she came in here, you made it very, very clear when Mr. Marlowe came in as commissioner. You sat down with a pen and paper and calculator, and you ran your numbers, and you were very excited and adamant that if we use that firm, because they're going to save this county money versus some of the other ones, such as Jackson County does have an inside auditor for $98,000 full benefit, or inside accountant, and then all that. So those numbers you tossed out there were not actually correct, because the website says different. And so there is something has changed, and I don't really think it's all related to the circuit clerk. I'm sorry, but that's not what it's all related to. And I'm not in your head to know the reason. I have some, like I said, I've had some call or two, and I have some ideas, but something has happened, and I don't like the, look, I'm gonna say it again today. I said it yesterday, I said it years ago, and I'm gonna say it today. This is the best board that's ever came through Williamson County. Because we all bring certain talents to this board, and we get in that budget room, and we talk together, and we make 2 to 1 each other. We don't walk out mad. Matter of fact, we usually talk about football or something. We don't walk out mad. That's part of having a commission form of government. I'm very proud of our accomplishments. You know what? When I was elected, I came into a bickering board. I saw it firsthand. I didn't like it. And those people are no longer here. I saw the change of accountants, auditors, right and left. I saw them going to red, and we are in the black today. I am proud of our accomplishments. I am proud of 15 years of a straight balanced budget from every single one of us here that balanced it. You said the other day that you won't vote for another budget on record, June 11th. That statement right there tells me that you're not dialed in to make a team effort. Now, that is a problem. You said it, Ron. I love you guys to death. I do. We've had some great times. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to see this fighting. And I am sick of it. I want to go away and be like we used to be. And there's something going on here.
There is.
And you need to talk out with her. You said you called her. Her cell phone has never rang. You called the office. You do not want to talk to her. Sit down in a room and talk it out, whatever your problems are, and get it behind you. Going out and bidding something and bringing in a low ball doesn't take care of the problems in this county. It could create a mess. And in 17 months, you will no longer be here. I even asked you to run, didn't I?
Yeah.
Because I like the way the board's going. When you asked me to vote for you as chairman, I did it, and you told me you would bring unity and we'll have a good time, we'll get things done. It's been divisive. I don't like it. I lose sleep off of it. And folks, I'm telling you, whatever the problem is, the best way to handle a problem is to talk to the person that you have a problem with and work it out. Not to run into people and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying anything yesterday, today, but that I have not said on record. It's the way I feel. And we have the best board. The late Chuck Granani stood there and said, this is the best board ever in their 30 years. Why can't we continue 17 years of us being the best board ever? And if you got a problem with Ms. Meyer, please talk it out with her. And if there's a personal issue, please talk it out with her. That's the best way to address a problem.
There is no personal issue. The personal issue that you allude to, and I've said this, is after we had the theft in the circuit clerk's office, it became apparent that there was a situation in Franklin County that had the same situation.
There was.
And they were 4 years behind in their audits. We had the theft in our office. Same CPA firm was doing the audit work for both counties. We were 2 years behind in our audit. And if the audit hadn't been behind, who knows if there would have been, if the theft discovery would have been found. If you're 2 years behind, every year we're behind. Every year. There's no reason for that. And when you look at what we pay her and her firm, and I have a serious problem. You talked about bidding. You don't have to take the lowest bid. We did that with the jail. If you remember when we built the jail. Well, but before that, they hadn't gone bankrupt. They had the low ball. We did not take the lowest bid because we didn't think that was the best fit for the county. Just because you take bids for something doesn't mean that's who's going to wind up with it. Whoever has the lowest bid, you have to look at a lot of different factors. The capabilities of the people who are doing the bidding, and there's other things that come into play. But the fact that we don't bid it, the fact that we don't show independence, I don't believe you can ever convince me that we have independence when the same firm is doing the audit, doing the consulting agreement that we have, doing the audit, the budget prep that we have, and then the circuit clerk audit. That's $140,000 plus of no bid. We just issued her back in January a no bid audit for a department that had to have an audit. We issued 3 bids, we issued 3 contracts with no bid in June. And if you look
That's
at
part of our.
you look at
what we
the
agreed
cost,
to at the beginning, yeah.
and you know your comment is that, well, we've only paid X number of dollars right now.
About 100.
That's in the current year. When you look at what we have paid that firm in a 9-year period,
That you were in agreement with.
part of that time, not all of it, after I sat down and did the work, and that's true. But after you sit down and work, Jim, isn't it part of being fiscally responsible to the taxpayers of the county? Don't you have to sit down and re-look at things? You just do the same thing over and over and over because?
No, Ron, but you work with people who have, like I've said before, as a commissioner, you wear many hats. And some of them don't always fit the best for either one of us, okay? And so that's why you always listen to people. You surround yourself with people who are much smarter than any given topic, okay? So we listen to Wendy's advice. We listen to Rep. Barkey's advice. We listen to our auditor's advice. And that's what we go by, their guidance, because they have the expertise in governmental auditing or labor negotiations or just what's right and what's going to keep us safe legally. Now, the issues you raised concerning the theft over the circuit clerk's office, okay, that's a question, and I respect your opinion, I respect your question, but that's a question that why don't you direct that to Kim?
Right.
And when she's here this afternoon.
Why wouldn't we do that? It's directed to the board because the board,
Well,
Kim doesn't make the decisions on who is hired to do our auditing work and accounting work.
no, I
The board.
understand that.
This board does
Then
that.
why don't you ask her?
That's not what you said. You said that she was
Why
behind
don't
on
you
this,
ask
behind
her
on that. Why don't you
why
ask
this-
her why?
She is.
Why don't
But
you
you're-
ask her?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do I have to
You're pointing
ask
the
her?
finger at her, but you're not asking her.
Ron, you on your numbers, when you were comparing us to Jackson County, you've been to a couple different places comparing us to Jackson County.
Mhm.
Okay, once again, as Brent suggested, the numbers are slanted. They're not accurate. Jackson County's a township. You're comparing a commission form of government to a township form of government. In that township, each and every individual township has to have their own individual audit. In Jackson County, that's an average of about $5,000. Okay,
For 16 of them.
so there's 16 townships. That's $80,000. Correct.
And they bid them.
But we're not talking about, we're
No,
talking, wait,
but
let me
that's
finish.
part of it.
Well, let me
They
finish.
bid it.
Let me finish. Okay, so they bid it, but they're still on the average of $5,000. And the total of 16 times 5 is about $80,000, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, then they still have to do a countywide audit.
And they bid it.
Okay, that's fine. And what's the cost of that?
Well,
That's right.
this year, it's 50,000, but
Okay,
that's
so
why it's
that's,
bid.
so it's
It's
80,000.
47, next year, it's gonna be 47,000, then 48,000,
Okay.
then 49,000.
Okay,
Because
let me
they
finish.
bid it.
Let me finish. I'm not talking about bidding. I'm just talking
I know,
about
that's the problem, we're not talking
where-
about bidding.
Regardless whether you bid, there is a number, let me finish, Ron. Then you add that, whatever it is, make it 50,000 to the 80, and what do you get?
130,000.
Okay, now, wait, I'm not done.
Okay,
Let me finish, I gave you your time,
Okay.
now you give me my time. Okay, then on top of that, Jackson County has an auditing coordinator. Now, this is all part of the auditing process. Now, the auditing coordinator
98,932.
just retired, but she was, I think her name was Miss Tweedy, yeah. She was at, in total package, about 98,000. So by the time you add the 98,000 in the auditing process, along with the individual audits of each and every township, along with the countywide audit, they're way above what Williamson County puts in auditing costs, because they're different. You just do the number of 47,000 compared to what we paid, 140,000. You're way off base. You're comparing apples to oranges here. Secondly, Brent was correct in the fact that 40,000 in consulting fees is set aside. That has not gone to that firm yet. A portion of it has, the 5,500 has. The rest of it is still in our coffers. It may not, but as of right now, it's only 55. So if you really want to compare figures, you compare figures, because you compared us to Jackson County. Totally different.
Now, we could have, like you said before, we could have a inside accountant. You brought that up before. You were showing Jim your methodology on how this is saving us money. You didn't feel that was the right way to go, because we had the 75,000 mark of population. I think that's what you referred to.
and 75,000 required.
Right, that's right, yeah, and you said that, so basically you've got in Jackson County that you keep referring to, you've got basically two people doing the job of one, and, I will gladly give you the, ethics standards in black and white, you can read to maybe alleviate some of your issues with the problem you got.
Oh, I'd be interested to see your.
It's gonna be coming out, but I will get it for you. I think you're gonna be, you'll be interested. So I'll get that black and white for you. And then.
Because I've got it too.
Believe it or not, Jackson County pays on average about $228,000 per audit.
But you're making my case for me.
It's whether it's bid or not. Okay, but you were comparing to what we paid in Williamson County.
For what, when you're comparing apples to apples, yes. Every position that you have, there's independence in each and every
And we
position.
have it here.
We do, really. And how do we have that?
We'll show you.
I'd love to see it.
Okay.
Because I want you to explain to me how we have independence when the same person is doing the auditory, the same person is doing the consulting work, the same person is doing
Will
the,
you be willing to listen to, sit in on a presentation?
no. If we have the Attorney General in the office in the presentation, if you think I'm gonna sit there and listen to Kim give a presentation to tout herself, you're nuts. Isn't going to happen.
I'll respect your opinion on that, Ron, but I just want to let you know. You said that you were going to ask the Attorney General, and I don't think it had been done yet, but I just want to let you know. I did forward that letter last month to Brandon to ask the Attorney General.
And we as commissioners can't ask the attorney.
No, I understand that.
Am I correct on that, Wendy?
Yes.
Yes. So we're waiting on the Attorney.
And then will you accept that response?
Sure. And also, are we gonna send it to the AICP Association, the Illinois State
So-
Regulatory Commission?
So
and the-
this is, back to again, it sounds like a personal issue. So
The issue is this. The issue is
the
this,
Supreme
guys.
Court would be next, I guess, so I don't know.
Okay.
The issue is this. We paid this firm through a 9-year period, we paid $1,149,000. What was budgeted was $952,400. We paid this firm, because we don't bid anything, just under $300 less than $197,000. And Jim, you made the case for me. In Jackson
In
County,
your mind.
well, in Jackson County, they have independents. They have a different person doing their day-to-day accounting work, which does the budget.
Bottom line is cost. You're making it that.
We haven't even explored the cost, how much savings we're gonna have, if we actually bid. And I'd like to know, why do we think that we need to have somebody do the budget for us? We can do the budget
We can.
work ourselves.
We can.
Oh, please.
You're not in that budget room every room, Dave.
Well, you know what? I certainly hope that we have people who will come in here this year and watch the budget process to see how much we really do.
Absolutely. I hope
How
they
we do.
It's open meeting.
do. I hope they
Everybody's
do.
welcome every single time. We have no.
But I think we all agree that our labor attorney, we've had, I think, going on 30 years in this county. Why is that? Because they're the best.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have the best for the citizens of Wayne County. Period.
Well,
And I'm gonna have to
Agree to
discuss
disagree.
government auditing, well, fine. I'm gonna have the government, with a lot of government experience and not just some off-the-wall accountant come here and say they're into this stuff. So you will get your information black and white, you will get your attorney general opinion. If you don't accept that, I don't know what else to say.
I'd just say,
So,
I'm curious to
Kim
see
will
what
be in
the
this afternoon.
We
We've got a
can discuss this
discussion
then.
with Pittsburgh.
After we get done with Pittsburgh, we can discuss it.
sure,
Because
we need to really address the Pittsburgh thing.
We have. We need to
We
get
need
rid
to
of
really do
Pittsburgh.
that.
Or, I mean, we need to get rid of white ash. We need to give Pittsburgh white ash.
I want you to know, like what you said. I respect your opinion. I really do. You know, we may disagree, but I want you to understand. I may not agree with you, but I do respect it. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I want you to understand that.
We all get to one all the time. It's not, it's not a big thing. Maybe outrule, I don't care.
You know, something that you said yesterday was, you know, outside of the main issue that we have, the two issues that I have, and it's the only arguments we've had, is with paying off the IRF
Well, that's how we address it. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
and the bidding the auditing work.
And
Segregating those duties. Because if you sit there and read the information that you're going to give me, if you look at it very closely, you're going to find that in the wording is the appearance of independence. We do not have the appearance of independence because we don't have
Maybe
the
in your,
independence.
you know what troubled me the most? Is you used the word illegal twice in this meeting. She's illegal. Which could say that the board's doing something illegal, and we have a very competent assistant state's attorney sitting here. That, Ron, rubbed me really, really wrong. And throwing out words illegal.
Did I actually say illegal?
yes, you did.
Why?
Twice.
You said illegal against, because you get worked up and you don't know what to say, and you heard you said it twice, okay? And when you do that with a professional firm like that, you're walking a very fine line that I think that the word illegal is going to come back, and I do not want people to think that there's no illegal actions going on. If there was something illegal, she is the legal beagle, okay? And she will let us know about it. But saying the word, I played it back twice.
Correct.
I played it back twice, and you said illegal twice.
In the June meeting?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
June 11th.
Yes, you did.
And that is to everybody out here to hear.
You said it twice.
And you made sure the media was
We're in
there.
agreement with doing something illegal, putting the county at risk.
And
Secondly,
that really
you're
upsets
stating
me.
that the state
Not
attorney's
mad, but
office is falling down on their job, preventing us from doing something like that.
And that, to me, is just going down the wrong path. And that hurts, that hurts.
Well, I would, I don't know this, but I'll bet you if you ask the state attorney's office if they think that there needs to be a separation of duties, I would be shocked if they didn't say yes.
I think they're gonna go by the standards book, and I think you're gonna be shocked what you're gonna see.
Oh, I know what I'm gonna see because I've already read
It's
it.
how you, okay, I've said all I'm gonna say, but we'll see. But you will admit that if it comes back, you will accept that, correct?
If we get it back from that and the Attorney General, if the Attorney General for the state of Illinois says that, we're doing everything, okey and dokey, yeah, but I don't believe we are.
Okay,
So I'm-
so you will accept their decision, correct?
If you'll accept, will you accept the decision if they come back and they say,
Absolutely.
we're not doing it?
Absolutely.
Because they're our legal counsel, why wouldn't?
Absolutely. I just wanna make sure you accept
They're our
that.
legal counsel.
Okay, fair enough. Deal?
If that's the way it works,
That's what it is.
it'll be very interesting.
All right, I'm hungry, so if, were we
Have
done?
you guys, has anybody got any thoughts? Yes, ma'am?
I have spent a lot of time since I was here last month. And I was interested in exactly what our accountant auditor was doing. And so I have 2 years of billing from the firm. And I have a myriad of questions about how they're billing and what they're billing for. So if we have time, I will show you all of the questions that I have as a citizen of Livingston County.
Sure.
Okay. This one is for hours to assist office holders in statute research on sewer systems and research payroll errors and resolve. That is a legal question. Why is an accountant doing legal work?
Repeat the question again.
Statute research is, about that was whenever she was looking up some of the statutes on, anybody can look up statute.
You were paying her for it out of funds.
Her and Wendy work together all the time on stuff, so.
Wendy?
That was not a service that I requested.
That probably fall under the consultant.
She's not an attorney.
I didn't say she wasn't.
Okay, that was one. Then I have a question about this compliance audit in 88.3 hours. And I see no signature for Ron and wondered why there was no signature for Ron. But Mr. Gentry signed it twice.
On this one, Jim Marlowe.
I signed it.
Okay, you signed it twice.
That's because
It's not the
that's where
chairman supposed to be
I was-
signing it.
I was chairman at the time. What year was that? 18, I was chairman. I
Okay,
signed in the
thank you, you
chairman's
corrected
position.
that. Also, we have this with this many hours, if you're billing at $150,550 an hour, this total is inaccurate.
That's a year ago. We'll see.
For the November 30th, 17 one.
And several of these have ranges of billing, 12/118 through 2/15/19. 273 hours here. And if you have that date and the amount of days in the week where she could have been doing this, you can't perform 173 hours worth of services. I have one here for 278, and that billing was 2/16/19 to 5/31/19. Impossible. And not only that, but this times 150 is $41,000, not 21.
We can look into that and see.
And we'll have to.
And what is this, since she's doing consulting work and not accounting work, what is these billings that go to contingency funds
I'm
or
sorry,
other accounting?
yeah, what's the amount on that, is it 40,000?
25, 90, 50, and 5,325.
We have to find out, we have to see, I can't answer that right
Well, these are all bills that you guys supposedly looked over before.
now. Well, there's thousands of those, so.
I understand that, Jim, but you're supposed to be acting on the bills.
We can get your answers. Remember,
And it's
one
not-
thing
I'm
I
more
wanted
than
to
happy to look into it.
And it's not, these are taxpayer funds, these are not
Yeah,
yours.
I'm a taxpayer. I'm more than happy to look into it.
Okay, here we have services from 1/18/430. And there's 2 or 3 line
Are
items.
your questions on here before we get them answered? Before we find out the specific question? Because if I just hand something like this, I have no idea, if the question's written on here. I like,
Well, this is just my comments,
Okay.
so if you want those,
You said you had questions that you
Yeah,
wanted to answer. So if we had a list of questions, that way we could present these questions, we could get an answer for you.
I understand that, Jim. Okay. Okay, so when the labor attorney sends his bill in, this is his bill, and that's the way it's supposed to be done. There are numerous of these bills that have one line. You cannot go back and check and see what was done on that day. You don't even know what day it was. You have no idea what's going on. You can't go through it. Okay, so if you want my notes, that's fine.
go make copies of it,
Whatever you give us.
Okay,
make copies, give them back to you.
okay. Because
Those are mine.
those are yours. Okay. I don't want to get.
Today's meetings.
Okay,
So you want copies of everything you have here and then the original back to you for her to,
yeah, and let me give you,
okay? Here you go, Stephanie.
here's a couple more.
I don't know if these were in any kind of order.
Okay,
And it might take a few minutes to get those copies.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll be here next month.
Okay.
Then if you want to wait a few minutes, she'll make those copies and then you can have your stuff back.
Sure.
Come on up.
Where do I stand, right, is that the next
No,
one there that I have to
come on up
stand there?
there.
I mean, I will.
Next,
Okay,
identify yourself.
my name is Patty Howard. I'm a precinct committeeman. I want to make sure, and I'm gonna ask for your help, that in this year's budget, that there's money allocated to allow the county clerk to redistrict the precincts. Now, I know that the last number of years that getting election judges has been difficult.
But we could redistrict, what you explained, just move them around to different areas.
Reallocate the.
Reallocate.
the
There's a state
65
statute that
precincts.
says you're supposed to have, and I had it, I couldn't find it this morning when I rushed. But there's an average that you should have in a
Oh,
precinct,
everything, okay.
in each
I got it, I
precinct,
got you.
so that in your county,
Okay.
there's equal representation.
Okay.
Where this affects us more on the political side, but I still would like it to be monies, make sure that monies are allocated. And while the state statute, my state, so many population, you know what that is off the top of your
I
head?
want to say it's 800.
It's about
But
800.
they've got a new
yeah.
bill out there to change that,
Right.
increase it.
Exactly.
Okay.
When I started in 2002, I had one of the lower number of precincts. I had under 500. I've done it
You mean residents, and then
registered.
Well, voters.
Registered.
voters. Now, is that just with one party? I'm just.
No, it's registered voters,
Just registered.
registered
Walk,
voters,
walk through the door. Walk through the door.
Right.
Okay,
through our office.
Okay.
That office.
yes,
That's not how many have voted, it's just that how many
Right.
are registered in
Okay.
that precinct.
yeah, that's fine.
And that's what we have to base this allocation on, is registered voters. I have two canvases here, one from 2010 and one from 2016. In 2010, there were 3 of the 65 precincts that were over 1,000, and there were 14 under 500. In 2016, there were 5 precincts over 1,000, and 10 that were under 500. What I'm asking for is that, and I know there's a lot of issues that go into the redistricting of a precinct, because she has to work with what various school boards, water boards, electrical co-ops,
Right.
city limits, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to make sure that, or I'm going to ask that you make sure that she is given the resources, because 2020 will be, the census will be taken again. And that's when every 10 years thereafter, the county clerk is supposed to look at the redistricting of those precincts. I'm asking for your help to make sure that her office has the resources to better represent the citizens, those voting citizens, in the political arena. Okay? And so let me just give you an example.
Yeah.
Right now, Creel Springs 2, I'll go with the 2016 here. Creel Springs 2 has 1,154. My precinct, which is West Marion 1, which is, you're in my precinct right now, has 476. When it comes to electing our county chairman, and on the Republican side, not the Democratic side, but the Republican side, the number of voters that vote in the primary, we get those amount of votes to vote for our county chairman and our state central committeeman. The Democratic side, the state central committeeman is on the ballot, so that's not the issue. I have seen, unfortunately, on my side, that I can ask somebody to run and be the precinct committeeman for Creole Springs 2 and say, you only have to come to one meeting, and that's the March meeting, and vote for me as county chairman. And you don't have to do anything else.
That's what a lot of them do anyway, on both sides. They only come to one meeting, so.
However, I am a working precinct committeeman. And so they get double, almost, could be triple amount, depends on how my voters register, if they vote that term. And I work my precinct, and I usually average, this past time, there was a little bit more in the mayoral contest, which is a nonpartisan, but 150. Now, normally, I'm lucky if I get 75 to 100 voters. Down in Creole Springs, though, they'll get 400 or 500. So that precinct committeeman, who only comes to one meeting to vote for their county chairman of their choice.
Right.
And the same is true on the Democratic side. And so, if you're smart and you want to be the county chairman, you rig it so that those precinct committeemen that they run, usually only have to get 10 signatures to be on the ballot, and then they come in and they vote for you. I think that is not really a true representation of the way that we want to run our political process. And what I'm asking is not to interfere in that process, but just to make sure that her office has the resources, whether it's time, maybe additional man hours, to do that after the 2020 census, which is your budget process is coming forward. And that's what I'm asking, is that you just make that concerted effort to make sure that all the political parties who like to vote have that representation on a more equal basis.
Political wrangling.
Well, I'm
Just so you guys
I'm
know.
not a big
And-
political
I want to make,
person.
And if you have any questions,
and I think I just want to make clear too, you're talking about the county chairman, you're talking about the chairman of the party,
I'm
not the
sorry.
chairman.
I'm
Okay,
sorry,
I just wanted to make sure for
thank-
anybody
yes.
I was
watching.
gonna ask you, but
that-
I picked up on it.
Now-
political parties.
Just so you know, Patty and I talked about this at Great Lakes. And I actually recommended that she come to our meeting and to discuss this, and here's why. Is that it would take extra money to do this. I talked with Amanda about this, and I don't know what the amount would be, but it's been over 50 years since Williamson County has, no,
No, they increased some precinct sizes, while I was off. 7 years I was gone, probably after about 95, they increased the
Right.
sizes.
okay.
But this would take increasing some precincts, that means we have to get more judges, which we can't fill now.
Which is hard. We did raise the fee.
So that's where the increase in money is gonna be, because you're gonna be paying election judges.
Well, we still have
Yeah.
65
I'd like to
precincts.
hear-
No, it would increase. As many precincts that are getting big, you would have to increase. Those people down in Creole Springs, I can't move them to East Marion, to West Marion to vote. That means I have to create another precinct down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't,
I
that's
was
in a
under the-
township. I have to stay within that township.
I was
And
under
then
the
Corinth is
impression
really low. That will never increase in Corinth. Corinth is not a very big.
It's not warranted to do
It's
it.
not a big area, so that precinct would always stay small. Patty's precinct probably wouldn't change it, because I wouldn't be throwing any more in there, if anything.
But I don't, why not? I mean, we're here in the
Because
city of
there's
Marion.
no precincts around you that touch you that are over, is there?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's still,
what you're saying is like for Southern One, because there's about 1,000.
Southern
One.
Township has 2 precincts.
Right.
One of
and
those
two.
precincts are real big, the other one, I'm sure, is at its limit almost too. So that means I have to create another precinct there. And just because you see the number of registered voters doesn't mean that's how many that are actually voting. The new bill that they have out, they're trying to get that increased to actually how many people are voting, not how many are registered in that precinct.
See,
Every 2 years, I try to clean up the files and get people who off of there who are not actually living in the
So
area.
You call it, that's purging.
Purging.
So are you in favor then of doing like what Patty was talking about?
Patty knows that I'm not. First of all, I don't know how we would get all the people to fill the spots. We already don't. I mean, if we ever went to vote centers, that would be wonderful, but that's not available in Illinois.
That's what I was gonna say a while ago is,
Then we wouldn't have that issue with because the
I-
expense really is just with election day and then your equipment, because if we're gonna have more precincts, that means we've gotta have more equipment. We're gonna have more judges. We've gotta have more
Related
polling
to-
places, which are hard to find now as they are.
Okay, current statute says you're not supposed to have more than, let's say it's 900. Then if you're violating that, then, I mean, if there's a state statute that says that, then we have to go with it.
Is there a state statute that says
There
that?
is, and I guarantee you, every county in the state is having issues with it.
here,
Well, I think
here's,
what this is gonna
Or
boil
why
down
can't,
to.
or my suggestion is, okay, leave it at 65, but let's see if we can't, make
That's
it more
what
equitable.
That's what I don't understand, if you
Because I'm thinking
around.
if you reduce the
I
number.
sat down with the numbers one time and showed you, I can show you the numbers and where it's at, it's, and then you're gonna be moving those people, and that makes people mad too, changing their polling places, but, I mean, it's basically up to you, and I think it's done every June. the commissioner.
Okay, so West Marion 1 and West Marion 2 in 2010. I have my key census here. Registered voters in West Marion 1, 402. In West Marion 2, 382. You could combine those two, which would then allow you to have an extra one down in Carroll Springs or Southern or Carterville. There's a couple big ones in Carterville with
Right.
the road
Yeah.
out that way.
Quite a few big ones.
And so
And,
that's,
and two, when the law was wrote, that was when they were hand counting ballots, it's not when they were having machines that count the ballots, that are equipped to count that many ballots, so
And
that's
here's where
kind of.
Patty's coming from. And I understand where she's coming from, because about 8 or 9 precincts can literally, on the political scene for both the Republican and Democratic parties, 8 or 9 precincts can literally control
right.
everything that's being done
Mhm.
in the political world. And I understand, the state is redistricted every 10 years. And we come up with we keep the same number of 118 House seats and 59 Senate seats. And those are reallocated, and we have, depending on what's gonna happen with the state reps. But I didn't realize that.
I'm all for consolidating some precincts, that would
Yeah, I
be
mean,
wonderful.
that's
If we
fine.
can make them smaller, that would be, or, consolidate
Okay,
them.
Blairsville 1 and 2. And again, without looking at the map where these precincts are, which you would think they would be close together. and I-
They should be contiguous.
Blairsville 1, 342. Blairsville 2, 182. Again, combine those two small ones, and it may, like I said, I know that there's some issues with school districts, because I know that at times, people that don't normally vote here at the courthouse, they have to come here to vote in those the nonpartisan for the school board. And I understand that, but I'm just asking that we look at this, that you guys help with this process. I wanted to just kind of a general education. I'd be glad to, and these are older ones, I didn't pull the 2018. But I'm sure
They're
there's
gonna
some,
be close.
Should be some more.
yeah,
I'd like to one thing. Patty.
that's from 2010.
Let me just say one thing. Amanda is the county clerk. She's elected by the people. The board does not tell her
I
what to do.
understand that.
And I,
Well,
But-
you guys are actually by statute, you're a process of this precinct.
okay,
Rec-
fine,
rec-
but
didn't know if you knew
when you
that.
bring stuff to us, we usually always agree with you. We
Yes,
raise the
you guys are good
fees for
about-
people. I wouldn't want to sit there all day for, what is it, $100-something?
I understand, with
And
the
so
early voting that's
if
going
she-
on, why have it for 12 hours?
If she brings it to us, that is, we get always, not agreement with what she said. Or we can always get Russia's opinion on it. See what Russia says about it.
Well,
Oh, Russia.
A Rush, I thought you said rush.
But I'm just saying too, I was like, but under state statute, there is supposed to be redistricting. There is supposed to be redistricting after every census, and that hasn't been done in at least the last two. since-
On a county basis.
Yes. Unless we change the statute.
I'll pull the
This past year.
statute and give you
And-
guys the
and I-
statute
you know, my-
and the new legislation that they're
Okay.
trying to
Like I said,
pass.
I'm not here because she doesn't want to do it. It is a big task. And I'm just saying, let's
Well,
see if we
she addressed
can,
some of her concerns.
right, why we
Get
can't,
involved.
consolidate maybe some of the smaller
You
ones.
consolidated a lot of last year, didn't you? A lot of them are condensed down the last few years.
She's talking about basically getting rid of a precinct
I
and
got
consolidating.
Right, by
Not,
doing it that
I
way,
got you.
correct, okay?
Okay, thank you. Okay.
You're talking about polling places.
yeah,
Yeah.
polling places, I do consolidate
Right.
those
Yeah.
so that they just go and say.
Do you have any other questions that I,
No, actually, that's very informative, because I didn't realize, when you look
Plenty
at
of tape.
the map for the county, I didn't realize the township has to stay inside that township.
Right, you don't ever have precincts that are overlapping two townships. You try to stay within.
but I didn't think we had.
Even though we're-
townships here.
We're not township form of government, but we have townships, yes.
We used to be.
Right, well, I understand that, but anyway,
In 1932, that changed.
well, thank you for your time. Like I said, I just wanted to bring this to your attention because I am real active and I'm tired of not being equal in representation with my other precinct committee. So thank you, appreciate it. Thank you, Amanda.
All right. Anything else, guys? I guess we need a motion to recess until 1:15 when we can talk with Kyle Violet and Pittsburgh about White Ash.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Jim Marlowe.
Okay.
Rich Gentry.
Okay.
Ron Ellis.
Yeah. Did you already make those copies?
Yes.
All right, Chief.
Hey, before you take
Huh?
off, will you sign this stuff?
What's that?
Or do you want to just do it whenever you come back?
Please go, Jane, I know.
Look yourself.
It's just a question.
Yeah.
Well, no.
No. We're not, well,
But hopefully we did, we're not ready.
we're not ready.
How?
They do have new legislation
Hey,
now.
since we're coming back, I guess it'll be all right to do all this afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna
Back this
sign.
afternoon, they can sign.
I see it's simple. If we're caught, it's a city question. Somebody else would have.